Hello, my name is Andrew, and I am a preacher, teacher, and sober creature from Cookeville, Tennessee, here in Middle Tennessee, in the eastern half of Middle Tennessee, up in the Cumberland Plateau. I did live in Nashville for a brief period of time, and then in Liberty, Tennessee after that. And now I live in Cookeville, and I've lived in Tennessee longer than anywhere I've lived in my entire life. I'm an adopted Southerner, Yankabilly. I from the Midwest, but this is my home. Tennessee is my home, the place that I love. And Tennessee is the place that has been breaking my heart day after day, and especially in these last few months. But it seems like for about 7 or 8 years now, Tennessee has been breaking our heart. Now, 20 years ago, this spring, 20 years ago this spring, I was organizing down in Murfreesboro and in Nashville to protest against the war in Iraq. And we were able to get about 1,000 or so people out in the streets a couple of times. But we tried to organize a student walkout called Books Not Bombs on the MTSU campus in Murfreesboro in 2003, in March of 2003, just a couple weeks before the bombing of Iraq began, and that failed war based on a lie. And I want to tell you how hard and how difficult it was to encourage and to convince students to skip class. Students who would skip class for the most frivolous of reasons. You know, they stayed out too late the night before. They're going to see their significant other, and sometimes for good reasons. You know, yes, actually, sometimes they skip because their parents are sick, or their grandparents are sick, or they have a loved one that needs their care. But students will skip class. I've taught for a long time. Students will skip class for a lot of reasons. But to get students to do a walkout, to get employed faculty to do basically a wildcat strike in solidarity with a global anti-war movement, it was incredibly hard for us to organize that in 2003, 20 years ago this spring. And we got several hundred who participated from schools all over Middle Tennessee to gather in Murfreesboro for our rally. We marched from the MTSU campus to the Murfreesboro Square, and we had a rally. And then we went to Bart Gordon's office, our then Representative Bart Gordon. And though a Democrat, he was a staunch supporter of the bombing and the murder and the war in Iraq. So I just want to preface this by saying how hard it is to organize a student walkout. Well, March for Our Lives, the global or the national movement for true gun reform, to take the assault weapons out of the hands of crazy killers, to take the assault weapons out of everybody's hands, to be honest, just to ban these murderous semi-automatic weapons that have killed so many of our people. We've had 135 mass shootings this year, more mass shootings than we've had days in the year of 2023. And of course, here in Nashville, a place so near and dear to my heart, we had the Covenant school shooting about 8 days ago, and it was a terrifying event. And the more we learn about it, the more terrifying that it is. So just imagine how hard it is, how difficult it is to get people to walk out, to take the day off work, to go to a protest or a rally. But yesterday, not hundreds, but thousands of Tennesseans, majority students, thousands of students walked out of class. Public school, private school, high school, and university. Thousands and thousands of students marching down the streets of Nashville. Fee, fi, fo, fum, Bill Lee, here we come. They were chanting, they were singing, and the marches were feeder marches. Many of the urban institutions, universities, and schools are so close to the Tennessee state capitol, they could literally walk from their campus to the state capitol. So there was multiple feeder marches of students from multiple campuses snaking and winding their way through the streets of Nashville, with support from law enforcement, mind you, to guide them there, even though they were in violation of Metro Nashville. That Metro Nashville put out this huge plea, and they said they're going to have approved rallies. So all the schools shut down. Even in this school, they had approved rallies to mourn and to grieve and to protest for better gun control. Even the school system that said don't skip, don't walk out, they had rallies in the schools for those who stayed, assemblies and the like. But thousands of students from colleges and high schools all over Nashville, Tennessee, marched. Many parents went and signed their kids out to march with them. You saw mothers with their middle schoolers marching through the streets of Nashville yesterday, and they all converged on our Tennessee state capitol. So this is one of the largest student movements in Nashville we've ever seen. We had a huge movement, one of the largest I've ever seen, in the summer of 2020 for the awakening and the uprising around police violence and mass incarceration that we had after the murder of George Floyd. And we saw thousands of Nashvilleans marching through the streets of Middle Tennessee in 2020. We had a huge uprising nationally in 2020. And one of the members of that uprising in the summer of 2020 is my friend, Justin Jones. Justin Jones is a Tennessee-based activist who had the longest running. Now, Governor Bill Lee was already in power at the time in 2020. He was elected in 2018. Governor Bill Lee said, we will have no occupations. We will have no autonomous zones. And the longest running peaceful occupation autonomous zone in the entire United States was organized by Nashville activist Justin Jones. They took over Legislative Plaza, renamed it Ida B. Wells Plaza. They had around the clock camping and yoga classes and singing and art classes and people just holding that space. I went there on a blazes hot day and deep in the summer of 2020, just wants to show my love and support and solidarity. Cookeville, by the way, is 80 minutes each way outside of Nashville. I can't get there, and I do have a job and responsibilities. Can't get there as often as I would like. And Justin Jones was barred from the plaza when they threatened all of them with felonies. And of course, a felony, you can't vote, you can't run for office. It can have jail time associated with it. So they threatened for felony protest laws in Tennessee simply to respond to this individual and the mass movement that he was one of our leaders for in the summer of 2020. Well, in the fall of 2022, Justin Jones was elected to represent a district, a state house district in Nashville, and he joined very radical and progressive and wonderful leader from Knoxville, Tennessee, representing a diverse community in Knoxville, Representative Gloria Johnson. And then we've been added from the west side of Tennessee, Justin Pearson representing Memphis, and he's here pictured on the left. So keeping in mind that the three stars in the Tennessee flag represent East Tennessee, and the pinnacle of East Tennessee is Knoxville. Everybody knows the orange, the UT Vols. That's out of Knoxville, Tennessee. When I was at Black Lives Matter rally in Knoxville in 2020, it was the UT students and the UT athletes were leading that contingent. It was such a beautiful thing to see. Gloria represents East Tennessee. Justin, this other two of three stars is Middle Tennessee, and then of course West Tennessee, Memphis. And last night, at the opening of the legislative session last night, we had several chaplains and representatives speaking because today is April 4th, 2023. April 4th, 2023, the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. They will remember him from the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, as they do every year. They will remember him today in the evening at the exact time of the murder, when that bullet took out our Prince of Peace, our crusader, the American Moses. Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered and martyred in Memphis 55 years ago today. And we have each of those three stars represented. So last week, when the state legislature would refuse to even discuss any kind of gun reform, they were having their microphones shut off. They were being harassed on the inside, and there was, thousands last week were there chanting and singing in the rotunda, in the public hallways of the Capitol, just pretty much occupying the whole Capitol peacefully and joyfully, but somberly for our grief. They had taken over with peace, and so Pearson and Jones and Johnson would go and show solidarity with them, and then they were on the inside. They were alienated and aggravated and ostracized by their elected peers, and so they staged a very brief, an incredibly brief protest inside the legislative room, inside the chamber, inside the well, as they call it. And during this extremely brief moment. Again, their own Democratic colleagues from the Democratic caucus tried to calm them down. Oh, this isn't how we do things, and really kind of gave them a hard time. And meanwhile, the gallery is filled with gun control and gun reform and anti-violence supporters. And the state troopers are being deployed frequently to clear the gallery. On last week, a young person, a teenager, decided for just a second that they might block access to the men's room as these older representatives were trying to use the facilities. These state troopers grabbed and manhandled these young people, immediately cleared the way so the representatives could use the facilities. And these people are being called terrorists, for exercising their nonviolent rights. And so last night, when they're telling everybody about what King did and why King was murdered, they have amongst them the prophets of the 21st century, the prophets of 2023. Gloria, Justin, and Justin are the Kingian John Lewis good troublemakers of our current legislature. And they are the only people that speak for me. And so they made the resolutions late last night to expel them. That means they're kicked out. They've been banned. They're saying that their behavior was so reprehensible. And I was imagining, with talking to my spouse yesterday and talking to my friends, I was imagining what kind of reprehensible behavior would warrant expulsion from an elected position. And I'm sure we could all come up with things that even us freedom loving, very lackadaisical in terms of our trying to codify how other people act, even us could probably think of a few things that could result in expulsion. And somebody's compiled a list of all the things the Republican legislators have done, including, having sex with minors and doing cocaine, in their office. And just there's a list, there's a battery list of all the crimes that the GOP have committed. And even one of the GOP last night, one who is a defender of slavery, still pushed Justin Jones. Like, they got rough with Justin Jones last night. The live stream, I was watching it on the live stream last night. They cut the camera on the live stream, so we couldn't see how they were manhandling Justin Jones. Another representative assaulted him on the floor, and this guy's going to be fine. This guy's going to be fine. The crowd in the gallery were chanting fascist, 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 because that's what we're dealing with. And these state troopers had to remove people from the gallery. So we have dubbed our colleagues, and these are my dear friends, the Tennessee Three, Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson, and they are going to hear these expulsion resolutions first thing Thursday morning in the legislature. And they've called for all their friends and supporters to drive to Nashville from all over Tennessee to stand in love and solidarity with Justin Pearson, Justin Jones, and Gloria Johnson. And I plan to be there on this Thursday morning. But I want to say something else that's very, very important. I believe our democracy is broken. I believe that democracy in Tennessee is a flawed and fraught project. It's a project that has many, many, many problems. But we try to revive it from time to time with the spirit of MLK. In my tradition, it's the spirit of other people in other countries like Dietrich Bonhoeffer in Germany and Oscar Romero in Central America. And we try to revive the prophetic peace tradition and the liberation tradition in liberatory nonviolent tradition in these contexts, even though we know in Tennessee they have what's called a supermajority. They're outnumbered, so they can't outvote these folks, but they can allow their voices to be heard, and they're trying to mute and silence these voices and the voices of everybody that voted for them. Now, in the House of Representatives, I have no representation so Johnson and Jones and Pearson are my representatives because the person in my district is diametrically opposed to my values. The person in my district is antagonistic to love and justice and freedom. The person in my district is a theocrat. He's a Christian nationalist, right-wing enemy of humanity. And here he is with our governor, Bill Lee. Here he is with Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, who was rudely silencing and threatening civilians in the gallery last night. Sexton, who wants to weaponize this brief moment of peaceful protest over these last few days to expel these three people from the State House of Representatives. Here's Ryan Williams speaking at Christians United for Israel. This is not really a Tennessee topic, but apparently Tennessee passed some anti-BDS legislation. to fight against, the Palestinian cause from Tennessee. And so here he is speaking at Christians United for Israel. Ryan Williams represents everything that good freedom loving people of faith, of good faith, are against. True Christians, of course, are against Christian nationalism, and they're against violence. He wants to put guns in the hands of teachers. He, in our local community, there was a small houseless population, and it was making all the people really uncomfortable to see people flying signs and asking for money and camping in our parks. And so they tried to pass this incredibly aggressive anti-homeless legislation locally, anti-houseless legislation. It failed. Ryan Williams carried that bill to the state legislature, and he passed a horrific anti-houseless bill in the state legislature. He hates the poor. He hates peace. He really hates his Jesus that he claims to follow, because he wishes to weaponize the power of the state against the good, marginalized folks, the LGBT community, the persons of color. Cookeville is a very, very majority white community, majority right-wing community, and they've been galvanized by MAGA. Many of my members of my community attended the January 6th insurrection, and they're comparing what these peaceful, nonviolent protesters did. There is a peaceful way for revolution, and I do believe that we need a nonviolent, liberatory, peaceful revolution in this country. A revolution of values is what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called that. We need that revolution of values. These people are out of whack. But I stand in solidarity and in love with Gloria and Justin because they represent me. This cannot represent me. But I'm, at the same time, as I disagree with him on just about everything, I'm begging him to exercise restraint. I am begging these people to stand down and to have some modicum of decency when it comes to the bare thread of democracy that we have left in the society, and to vote against expulsion, and to speak to your good friends Bill Lee and Cameron Sexton and stand down on expulsion. So I'm calling on all of my friends in Cookeville, Tennessee. If you have not done this yet, or if you did it yesterday, you can do it today. Call 615-741-1875. Yesterday it was a Tennessee Tech student on the phones. Go and call these people. Let Ryan Williams know that we support Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson. Please do not expel them from the legislature. Please. And if you live in another district, find out who your representative is and call them. Let them know what you're thinking. This Thursday, they've asked us to gather Thursday morning in Nashville at 8 a.m. outside the out at Legislative Plaza, outside the State House chambers, where they will be gathering at 9 a.m. And this, unfortunately, these bills to expel these members are on the agenda. Thank goodness the national media has noticed us, and we are a story that the national media is following. All three representatives are very active on social media, especially Twitter. You can give them all a follow, and you can just type the Tennessee Three or any of their names, Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson, into any search engine. We support these people. They are our colleagues, our comrades, our friends. They stand for me. They stand for the children, all of the children who are grieving and are scared to go to school, and for all the teachers who are scared to go to work. They stand with us. They represent us. They are a minority voice, and they themselves are minorities. They're young. They're people of color. Gloria, she scoots around on a little cart. I mean, she can't even make it to all through the chamber unassisted without that. These people are themselves in a marginalized way in this state, and they speak for us. They speak for all Tennesseans. I support them. I love them. I give them all of my love and solidarity. I hope to see you all Thursday morning in Nashville. Support the Tennessee Three. Support some kind of gun legislation. They just want to put more cops in the schools. This is their answer. Bunker it down, turn every school into a military bunker, and put more weaponized law enforcement in the building. This is their solution to gun violence. It's atrocious, and it's wrong. Peace, love, solidarity. Thank you for listening to my live stream in support of the Tennessee Three, in solidarity and love with the Tennessee Three, Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson.